Yes, I Am My Father's Daughter is a book written by Elizabeth Mokamba. This book, going as per her own words, and to quote she's saying, "Yes, I Am My Father's Daughter" is a heartbreaking story about being lost in a world that is supposed to embrace you and wondering if you will ever be freed from your own worst enemy, yourself. End of quote. In our 15-part series of reviewing the book with the author herself, dear viewer, I'm kindly asking you to come with us to the end, and I hope that at the end of chapter 15, we will have learned a thing or two that will help our families be better off than it was yesterday and today.
The unhealthy routine. Why unhealthy and not a routine?
Um, Growing up in an African home, there is a certain way you do things. There is a routine to it. A home in itself is a kind of a structured environment, meaning there is a certain time you have to wake up, a certain time you have to cook, a certain time you have to eat, a certain time even for showering, a certain time for going to bed.
Mhm.
So you see, when you're a child, that's okay. But when you grow up, when you metamorphose into an adult, you feel like the routine is kind of stringent in some way. So my home routine, I felt like it became unhealthy. That's why I said the unhealthy routine.
Okay.
Yeah.
You see, there is this culture that fathers are all the time supposed to be out there on the field, and mothers are supposed to be home
Yeah.
receiving that which um, comes from the field, from the harvest of the day or
Mm-hmm.
any other season. You know,
Yeah.
how was your family structured? Was your dad available for you, or he left at noon and came back at dusk?
Well, in our family, let me say, both my parents had jobs. Huh? So both of them were outside the house during the day on normal weekdays. Now, in addition to that, my dad ran a business, a petrol station business
Mhm.
in a nearby trading center, which was also near his school. So after the normal working hours, dad would go to the business to at least reconcile accounts and everything. Mom would go home to be a homekeeper. So that was the difference. My mom was the homekeeper after school, home, but my dad after school, business. So he wasn't around home for a larger part of the day. Once they left at dawn, dad came back at night after closing the business. So that was the structure of my parents. Yeah.
Okay. After high school, what kept you busy when you were waiting to join college?
So during this time, because I had a whole year before I joined college, so I used to work at our business. So after dad came from school, we will come to the business, I'll be there. But me, I would be there all day. So that's what kept me busy. So everyone was out of home during the day, but mom came back first, I came back second, then dad came back last.
It was a daily routine, right?
Yeah, at least let's say Monday to Friday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you like it?
I at first I liked it. I liked going outside the house. Given that you see me, if I have nothing to do, I just stay at home because where am I going? So I like the aspect that at least I had something to do during the day, something that kept me busy, something that is physically it's physically active. You see, when you're selling petrol, you have to get up and you have to talk to people, and so I liked that part of the day. But now, when days went by, I felt like I'm constrained to a certain routine, because now wake up maybe let me say 7. I'm not a very early riser. So wake up, take tea, do a little bit of cleaning, if any, then go to work, stay at work, then come back home, maybe cook or do whatever chores are available, eat, go to sleep. So it became like there is nothing new, there is nothing exciting. There is no day that I'll say, today I've found myself, I've watched until I've slept at 1 a.m. Like I couldn't even find myself in the sitting room maybe past maybe 10:30 p.m. because that's just not how it worked. So with the time, I felt like imenikazia hiyo routine, ni kama niko tu in a certain yeah, like a vacuum of my own. So I started hating it, and that's when I realized, hey, this routine, no, it's unhealthy. There is nothing exciting.
I'm curious to know, did dad used to tip you or pay you or something of that kind?
My dad never used to pay me as an employee, but he'd give me anything I want. If I said I want to make hair, he'd ask how much is it, and he'd give me. If I needed to buy shoes, clothes, and once in a while he'd just give me some money, say, you go buy yourself something. Maybe if we went to town, he'd give me some money just because. Yeah. So he never used that to pay me end of month, but he used to give me money whenever I needed it, and once in a while, just out of nowhere, just because. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Fast forward, I want us to talk about the backfired talk.
Okay.
Why the backfired talk?
So this is during that time when I am at home for the year-long holiday before I join college. So there is something known as the talk. The talk is when a parent gives the child the relationship talk or sex talk, like basically how to maneuver adulthood because you are now an adult. So I call it backfire because that's what it did. It backfired. It was supposed to be the talk, but it backfired. So that's why I say it's the backfired talk.
In fact, when did you first have a boyfriend? When did you first have a boyfriend? Do you remember?
A boyfriend that I
Did
can
your
say
parents know?
was a boyfriend is the one who this talk is about. Is the person that I met during that 1 year holiday when I was at home. So that's the person I can say like was my first boyfriend. Of course, had met some other guys, but they did not cross that line to become boyfriend. Uh, you see, that is always the first like boyfriend.
Yeah.
So it's this one who brought me all these problems.
Did your parents know?
Of course, they knew. That's why they came from. That's why they brought up the talk. They had rumors.
What was their, be it dad or mom, what was their reaction when they knew about it?
Well, as at this point in time, I had mingled into the society. I had become known as the daughter of Karori, because my father was known in society. So, of course, I had not understood that yet. I didn't understand what that means. But apparently, it meant that whatever I do, everyone sees, right? So if I talk to someone, if someone talks to me, if I walk with someone, everybody sees. And when everybody sees, my father sees by extension. He might not see physically, but he'll be told that, hey, we saw your daughter with so and so. So he got that rumor that had been seen around with some guys. So he came home that day, um, the routine, kama kawaida. And when it was time for dinner, he started to talk. Eh, So it's like, who was that? Who is that? You've been seen with someone. Have you been to their home? Just questions about that guy. And of course, I lied, because you don't tell your parents the truth. Yeah. So I lied. I was just saying he's just a friend. And I guess this is the point that he was supposed to talk to me now about this type of relationships, these adult male female relationships. And what I remember is he didn't actually give advice, he instead issued threats, which I understand. Because it's so hard to talk about these things, especially to your own child. How do you even start? So he said he's a respected member of society and I should not bring him any shame and he does not want any grandchildren. So, of course, I cried that day. I did not even take supper. I went to sleep. And tomorrow, the routine continued. I can't remember if I changed, if I stopped seeing him. I wish I could. But I don't think I stopped seeing him. In fact, I told him my dad alinigombanisha jana. So it backfired because I didn't get the advice that I needed. I got threats. And I was a teenager. I mean, I didn't think the way he was thinking. I thought like this mzai just nanikatia. So
Mhm.
I think I continued with the shenanigans for a while. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, when did you first get hold of a phone that you could call yours? Who bought you your first phone?
My dad gave me my first phone, and this phone actually he was in custody of a phone used by the school for parents to call. You get it? Like there is a line that parents call to the school to talk to their children or whatever. So my dad was the one in custody of that phone. So when schools were on holiday, he gave me that phone with that number. So me, I thought I had a phone and a number, but when the schools reopened, it was like, hey, kuna watu wamejaribu kupigia kwa hiyo simu. I was like, yes, because people used to call, and I'm like, sio mimi mnatafuta, kumbe it's parents calling to school to inquire some things. Then he told me that number is for the school. So he got me a phone and a number.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but I had that Kadude first, belonging for the school. That's what I used to text this guy with.
I'm curious to know that night when he came home and he was giving you this lecture about someone whom you had been seen with. Did he ask you for the phone that you were using and try to check
No,
the
no, he
conversation
didn't.
that you've been having, maybe?
No, he didn't. I don't know why. Though. That could have been a very good catch.
I know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fast forward,
Yeah.
the forbidden sleepover.
Okay.
Forbidden. Why?
Um. So this happened when I had already left home for college, And then I had now come back for holiday. And one of my friends called Modesta, she was at Kissi University.
Okay.
So when I was at home for holiday, she was at school. So I said, let me come visit you. We can talk, uh, all that things, all those things that people do. So so I told my mom that I needed to go see my friend at his university. And I really wanted it to be a sleepover because, when you meet after a long time, there is a lot to talk about. But it was forbidden. So I call it that's why I question in this book. I question, like, why wouldn't she just say yes? Because I had asked for permission few days prior. I had told her it's a girl I'm going to see, who we were with at Butere Girls. So why was it forbidden? That's why I asked, like, was there some rules that I didn't know about? Yeah.
How was it easy for you to communicate that you want to go somewhere and see someone, and how could you detail, like, this is the someone I'm going to see, you know?
It was just that, but I was usually very nervous, like when going to ask for permission to be out of home, because it wasn't something that I used to do. You see, so usually I'd say like 3 days prior. If I'm going on Saturday, like on Wednesday, I should have said on Saturday I won't be home. I'm going to this place to see this person, of which I never got out that much. So it wasn't frequent. Like every week, I'm telling mom I'm not there on Saturday, maybe once a month or twice a month at most.
And
So
once you've been given the permission to go out, like, did they used to give you timelines that you should be back by this time,
not communicated, but implied. Because every time I was out at 6 p.m., my mom would call and ask, have you started coming? So it was implied. I knew 6 p.m. I gotta start going back, because again the commute from my village to, of course, I used to hang out Kisii Town a lot of the time. So from Kisii Town to my village, the commute is just awful. So ikifika 6 p.m. I should start going back, so that at least by 8 p.m.
you
I'd
should
be
be
home.
home.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So this day, I asked my mom for permission, and she said it's okay, you can go see her. Then I asked her, can I sleep there? Come the next day, and she sighed. She didn't say yes or no. So that day came, I went, but at the back of my mind, I had known, that's a no. Because if it was a yes, she could have just said yes.
Said yes, yeah.
So I told my friend, I could have slept here, but home situation, like kukosana na wazae.
Situation cannot allow.
Yeah. So ikafika 6 p.m. and I saw a call and umeanza kukuja. Then I said ndio najipanga kwanza kukuja. So I went back home and life continued. But I did not understand that point of view at all. And I still don't understand it up to now. Because I could have lied, or I could have just refused to come back. What could they have done? So, but it happened. So that's it.
Okay.
About the forbidden
Then
sleepover.
I want us to talk about the 2 short Saturday afternoons.
Yeah,
How short were your Saturday afternoons?
very short.
What do you mean by short?
When you figure out a 4 hour public transport commute and try to fit it into a 6 hour afternoon, I mean that's now a 2 hour afternoon. So these Saturday afternoons are the ones whereby I was at home again during the holidays. Now, when I was in campus, when I was going back home for the long holidays, so Saturdays are usually days to go out. Those who don't go to church on Saturdays, so ni time za kujibamba, right? Because me, I go to church on Sunday, and Monday to Friday is weekday, ni siku za kutafuta pesa. So occasionally I'd score a date on a Saturday, and of course it's Saturday afternoon because Saturday morning it's cleaning. So I'd go and leave home maybe 12 p.m. Nikibahatika nifike tao 1 p.m. Kisi town now 1 p.m. or 1:30 p.m. And before you know it, it's 6 p.m. and you have to go back home. So that's why I call them too short. I mean, they could be longer than that, but just fitting that schedule was a lot.
I have a question. I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Like during your holidays,
Yeah.
how could you spend your weekends with who, where, doing what? It's like
For this
doing what?
boyfriend who brought me problems, we broke up before I went to college. So when I came back home, like I had, plus this is not like let's say the first year holiday, it will be the first or the second year holiday. So I had made a few friends. I had come out of the shell a little bit to socialize with people. And I mean, I'd had people who are pursuing me, there'd always be someone pursuing you. So during these times is when somebody could call me out on a date, right? Or someone I'm dating could call me for a date. So the only time I'll be available is a Saturday afternoon. So those are the people who I spend my time with. And most of them, of course, were men. Because, I mean, those are the people who pursued me. And I never had female friends at home. My female friends were college friends.
I'm curious to know, how did you used to beat time to get back home on time?
I
Like,
never,
could you get home at any time, be it 8 in the night or 9, and there's no big deal?
I would get at home whenever I got at home because, again, public transport. Oof. Now, I'd get at home, let's say latest 9, and that time is maybe I've left town maybe 7:30. So 9 is not late, but in village standards, 9 is very late. But as long as I got back home, my mom never had any issue. As long as I got back home, which I always did.
Did you used to get home before that comes?
Most of the time, yes.
So literally, you never used to know that you were out.
No, unless my mom told him.
Course which she never did. She never did.
Well, we don't know that.
You're only speculating. Okay.
Yeah.
Fast forward. The free ride and the compulsory lunch.
Yes.
Who gave you the free ride and why the compulsory lunch?
So this was during my third year long holiday, which I was an intern at the house. So it was December, and of course you're supposed to break for Christmas holidays. And that time, fare, the fare is usually doubles or even triples, especially our routes, Nairobi, Kisii. Ooh, you can pay 3,000 for one way. So, and that time I am an unpaid intern. So it's not like I am making real money. And paying over let's say 1,500 for fare, it was like no. I'd rather sleep at the stage and wait for the car to come and hop in. So I was talking to my colleague, my older colleague, and telling him how I don't have any means to go home and I'll have to part with a lot of money to go home. And he said, "Oh, don't worry, my car is available. I have space for one more person, so we can go with you." I was like, "Whew, thank God. At least I have a free ride. At least I have a ride, which is free. eh? So I don't need to part even with that 1,000 shillings. Like, that's okay." So I told my mom I'll be home for Christmas, and courtesy of my colleague, I'll be coming with my colleague. So that was okay. So the day came when we were supposed to travel. He picked me up in town around 6:30 a.m. and we went. So by maybe 12-ish, we were approaching Kisii town. So I texted my mom, told her I'm okay. I'll be home in an hour because they were supposed to drop me at Kisii. Their home is Nyamira. They were supposed to drop me at Kisii and go to Nyamira. But somewhere in the middle there, they were like, in fact, they bought a chicken on the way. It is somewhere on the way, I can't remember where, they sell chickens. So they bought a chicken, a live chicken. Uh, so when we were approaching Kisii town, they were like, "See, we take lunch, then you go." I was like, "It's fine." So I thought it would be lunch, just normal lunch at Kisii town. But they said here in Kisii, we don't know many places. Because us, we stay in Nyamira, so we go to Nyamira. How do you connect to your home from Nyamira? I explained to them, I'll have to come back to Kemera, then go home. They said it's okay. So we went to Nyamira. They ordered nyama and ugali. We ate, and they gave out that chicken. They gave out that chicken to be slaughtered with immediate effect. So I was like, okay, is that supposed to be a takeaway chicken, or just asking myself because I'll never ask them. So we took the ugali nyama. Of course, when you're in a company of men, there's gonna be drinks. There's gonna be drinks. Like, what do you take? I took some wine. Within no time, the chicken was ready, and it came, and we ate again. eh? We ate again, and we drank some more. And it was about 4 p.m. I told them, "Hey, I gotta get home." Because I told my mom I'd be home at 1 p.m. and now it's 4 p.m. I need to get home. So they dropped me at Kemera, where I'll get a car to go back home, to go home. So I went home. I reached home few minutes before 5, and mom was happy to see me. No questions asked. No, where I was, where was I from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Nothing.
She didn't ask why you were looking in a certain way.
No, I don't know if she noticed, or if she noticed, she didn't ask. So I was like, okay. Mm. So that's it. She was happy to see me, and that was that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Fast forward.
Yeah.
My Luo Prince Charming.
Oh, this book is reminding me of a lot. Yeah.
Who is this Luo Prince Charming, and why? Well, why?
Why is he a Prince Charming? He's a Prince Charming because he's Luo. Yeah? Anyway, I met this guy, I think during my 4th year, I think so. I can't remember place well. And he was Luo. I had never dated a Luo up to that point. So it was interesting, Was Luo, and then he was a little bit older than me. I think he was in his 30s. And at that time, I was maybe 24 or 23, and he was maybe 30, 31, 32 at most. So he had seen life. He was an adult. I was just like a girl still exploring life. So I met him, and his home is Homa Bay. And we started dating. So the situation I'm talking about was during a December holiday. So that December, it was now early January, and I was supposed to come back to Nairobi to finish up now for Thea, because I was supposed to finish school in 2017, but we had a strike which spilled the academic year to 2018. So January 2018, um, I I was at home and he was at his home, but he called me like, "Hey, when are you going back to Nairobi?" I was like, I'm not sure why. And he's like, "I can go with you, but I'm going today." I'm like, "Oh, okay." So again, that time the night traveling had been banned because of accidents, and ticket prices again shoot probably for the whole of January. So I was like, this is a good deal. Why not? So I went and told my mom there is this friend of mine who's going to Nairobi, and um,
Did you
I'd
tell her
like to go
exactly who
with
the
them.
friend was?
No, because now when you talk in Swahili, the
Mm.
Swahili language does not portray gender.
Mhm.
Sema kuna rafiki yangu anaenda Nairobi, nataka kuenda na yeye. There is no gender in that sentence. Unlike in English, when you say, have a friend of mine going to Nairobi, I like to go with, you either say him
Him or
or
her.
her.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I spoke in Swahili. I did not portray gender. I did not say who this person is in my life, other than being a friend. So I guess I convinced my mother, and she said, "It's okay, you can go." So I packed a bag, and we went. And I went to town, to Kisii town now. So I met him in Kisii town around.
Before you continue, did you inform your dad before you left home?
No, because my mom was at home. I informed my mom.
Mm.
So when I reached Kisii town and I met him, now I was sure I was going. That's when I called my dad and told him, a friend of mine is going to Nairobi, and I decided to go with them. Again, not portraying gender. So he just asked if I'm okay. I said yes, and then he sent me some money.
In fact, if you had told her, if you had told him that before you left home, what do you think would have been his reaction? Would he have accepted it?
I don't think he would say no, because we never had. I was never in a situation whereby I'm asking my dad for permission. It was always my mom. You see. So in fact, he will just assume I've already asked my mom. I don't see any place where my dad would have said, "No, don't do this," because we never had such incidents whereby it's him I am asking for permission to go somewhere or to do something. So for him, it was just to inform him, asiende nyumbani apate mtoto hakuna,
Mhm.
na mtoto hajamwambia ako wapi. Yeah.
Yeah, so you got to Kisii town,
So
met Willie.
uh,
What next?
I met, and the name I have used here is it's not his real name. So I met him, and he was looking for a few people to fill up his car so that we come to Nairobi. But he didn't manage to get people, because I think he wanted um, a lot of money per person, and people were not willing to give that amount of money. So it became late, maybe 4 p.m., and he was like, "Hey, we can start the journey now. So let's go find some place, we relax, then we'll go to Nairobi tomorrow." I was like, "It's okay." So we went someplace and relaxed. And now the next day, it's when we got a few clients and we came to Nairobi. Now, the thing about this story is I texted my mother that evening that I was in Nairobi, you see, because that's where I was supposed to be. Yeah. But I couldn't tell her that I didn't make it to Nairobi, but I am with this person in this place. Because, first of all, she didn't know who this person really is in my life. So I couldn't start that conversation. It was better for her to just think I am well and safe in Nairobi, where I am supposed to be at, than some other place with some other person. So the point of me bringing this story is to show that if we had cultivated a friendship with my mom from since that day she saw me with that little boy, maybe I could be open to her and tell her, it's my boyfriend and I want to go with him. This is his name. And in case I go out of contact, this is his number, but don't call him if I am reachable. You see, such kind of a thing.
You must have trusted this person so much. And on the flip side, let's talk about this. What do you think? You've already communicated that you go to Nairobi, and to the contrary, you ain't in Nairobi. You're on a different place, totally away from Nairobi, actually. So, what if something bad happened to you? Did such kind of things never cross your mind, maybe?
Well, they crossed my mind now after that incident. When you're in love, eh, you don't think about such things because you see this person and they are nice and they are, you know, you don't think. That's why even those people killed by their lovers, they never think that their lover will kill them one day. You see. So at that point, I wasn't thinking that, where am I going? This place with this person. I mean, we were strangers when we met and we grew a friendship. So it was okay. But now, later on, is when I was thinking, I lied from home. I lied that I have arrived. What if something happened to me? Where would my parents start? They would give the police the message. My daughter told me she's safe in Nairobi. Kumbe niko boda ya Tanzania na Kenya huko Migori. How? So I think it's good to cultivate a friendship with your parents so that you can tell them, I'm with this person and I'm at this place.
So later the following day, you got to Nairobi, and that was it.
Yeah, and life continued. But spoiler alert, I'll write more about this guy in I think my next book, because there is more. There's a reason why we broke up, and it's completely tied to this story. Whether this is the only uh, let me see, he is the only boyfriend who made it to this book, whose story was relevant, whose name was mentioned. It's not his real name, but at least a name was mentioned. The first boyfriend, there's no mention of a name because that the story was more about the situation, less about the boyfriend. But now this story is more about the boyfriend. Yeah. So congratulations, you made it into my book. Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
Sometime one of your friends told you that her father took her to a club and bought her alcohol.
Yeah.
He then gave her a talk.
Hmm.
Tell me about that, and the lessons you drew from that.
Now, after all these incidences that I have highlighted here in chapter 4, my main point is that conversation is very important. And conversation is me and you sitting here, you talk, I talk. That's conversation. I get your point of view, you get my point of view. We understand each other, we grow a friendship, a relationship of some sort. Now, um, I think it was during one of just an event, I think a conference or seminar, and we were after now the seminar. There is usually the dinner with drinks. So we were sitting at a table, just peers. We were maybe 22, 23 there, just sitting and drinking. And you know how young people get excited when there is free alcohol in somewhere. So, and one of our colleagues there, she said, I had my first alcoholic drink right after high school, and it was my father who gave me. We're like, what? What do you mean? Like, yeah, he took me to a club and bought me a drink and gave me all this talk about college and how you're gonna meet men who will take you to clubs and buy you alcohol. So I wanted to be the first man to buy you alcohol so that these are things that happen. Yeah. So we're like, okay, that's something that's new and that makes sense. Because you see, when you are in college, when you are like 19, 18, you've come to UON, you've met some guy, and he has taken you to some place in town and buys you a bottle of wine. You're like, what is it? Like, you feel like it's like he has flown you to Paris, but the person has not even spent 2,000 on you. So it was to make that guy know that these things happen. Just because you've done for me doesn't mean it's a transactional thing. That doesn't mean that I will love you because you bought me this or taken me to a fancy restaurant. So that statement got me thinking, like, if only more parents were, let me say, open with their children and tell them the truth about life. Like, this is what you're going to meet, this and this is what you're going to meet. So you just be aware. Of course, you can't control your child. You can also talk to them about all these things and they're still rowdy.
In fact, I want to ask you, did you never wish that that happened to you? That kind of a conversation could have come from your parents at some point?
Um, well, the point of now these stories is to show that there were opportunities where we could create
Mhm.
that type of friendship. It doesn't have to be alcohol because not everyone takes alcohol, but it can be something. You see, even when you share with your mom about, some guy is after me and she gives you advice, there is already that friendship. So that day that you're heartbroken and you are calling her and you are crying, she'll be like, child, that's life. It's okay. Yeah. You see, now some form you have to calculate some form of friendship with your child so that whenever they are going through such things on their own, they will remember, like, oh, this is part of life. Yeah.
Okay. Lastly, who did you used to talk to when you were stressed? Who did you used to open up to?
I could say maybe my friends in college, and also maybe no one, because I didn't really know how to open up until later in life. Yeah. You see, now prior to writing this book, is that year 2019 is when I really knew how to open up, and of course, and not to anyone, just a few friends. I'd never open up to my mom that I'm struggling, my dad, because I mean they've done everything possible they could do. They have provided for me. I've never lacked anything. Um, uh, yeah. So I mean I can't complain to them because what do you mean you are not feeling okay? What do you mean? Yeah. So I will either open up to my friends or no one at all. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, viewers, we've come to the end of our discussion of chapter 4. See you in the next one.
Bye bye.